back to the continued adventures of Hill Orc fighter Giac of Beogh. I keep saying it wrong, Beogh. Anyway, it's the supposedly correct pronunciation. Stairdancing Vaults 5. Went up a hatch that time just to see where it led, and recalled in a few knights who might gain some experience, probably not. Just using the broadaxe. And the demon whip to finish him off. I descended the stair in the previous silent episode, but didn't do anything other than that, and did not buff before descending, which was the correct decision since I just stair danced these guys up. Didn't see where they're an orc leveled, but I doubt it. Drop my tomahawks. Be going for big damage, so I'll use the javelins instead. And now it's time to stair dance again. Try to pick a stair away from the stair I ascended. Recall in some followers. I want to isolate one of them, so it's time for some limbing management. Fortunately, there's a door handy. I realized I can do the same thing I do with doors with a single tile width hallway. I wasn't doing it correctly the last narrated episode, but it is just about as easy with a hall as with a door. The trick is to stand, just outside the hall instead of in the hall, like I was doing. Just treat it the same as a door. Another successful stair dance. There may have been a vault warden there, but their ceiling rune doesn't prevent you from going upstairs if you've already started to ascend. Can't interrupt. A little bit concerned about my buddy with the axe, the battle axe. His HP is dropping a bit. So I swap with him. And order him to retreat. And there's a Beogh blessing, but it's wasted on a heal. Not sure that last kill was in vision of my orc knight. Switch stairs again. Descend with the sling out to buff my strength for better blocking. And also, I think that was the first descent at that stair, so I was going to unblack some tiles. Unfortunate that I've got 2 orc knights here, but one manages to level anyway. I guess with only one you might get overwhelmed too easily. Pulling so many Vault Guards at once. Yeah, probably. Concerned about my ally now. He's almost down. So I decide to recall, I believe. Yeah. Just to give him the best chance of escaping. So that worked. Going with the sling again for maximum blocking. And there's a Vault Warden on the screen now, but I can still ascend safely if I do it immediately, which I do. This thing also gives me some RN+. I think there's a draining weapon in here somewhere. Managed to get me to half health, and my knight goes to Warlord, which is nice. A lot of stone giants on screen. 4 if that display is correct, which it's not very reliable, I've found. More lemming management. I decide to precast Beastly Appendage. Can't hurt. And regen, which is fine as long as I have chunks. Get hit for a decent amount. About 30. And I'm locked in. So I recall. Alorc immediately is in the red, so he's probably going to die. I need to finish the Vault Warden quickly so that I can stair dance back up and minimize casualties. So I think I'll use Berserk to do that, since he's conveniently adjacent. Safe enough to Zerk with the recall ongoing. Looks like Alorc died in there. And then Beogh gave me reinforcements, is that right? I don't know. Anyway, Vault Warden's down, so time to head up. Which is fast ascent with the Berserk, so that's good. And give the troops time to heal. I do have a Rage Amulet, so there's no harm in using up my Berserk potions while I'm using the Faith Amulet, which I will not with Zen, since I can just... Zen doesn't do gifts, so that's missing out on a large part of the benefit of the Faith Amulet, and I can just donate to get piety with Zen, so... farm Abyss and donate, so Zen piety is basically always should be maxed. So I definitely don't need the Faith Amulet for that, so I can have the Rage on swap, Rage Amulet. Rage Berserk also isn't very useful with Beogh once you can recall in heavy hitters, because you don't need extra damage, and you get that from your orcs. So you just want to be not zerked, so you can control your orcs. Anyway, same thing again, other side. There's no Vault Wardens on the screen, so yeah, 4 Stone Giants. This is a good enough pull. Ask them a question after I get my RC plus. I'm not even doing raising their skeletons, because there's just no need. And it wastes XP. Training XP, pretty sure. Or I suspect. Certainly it wastes training XP and player XP when the skeleton lands a killing blow. Went to maximize my block again with the strength. Surrounded by some heavy hitters. Yep, they're hitting too hard, so I recall. Just checking to see whether my orc leveled from that, but he did not. Everybody out. Chop the corpses. Make sure I didn't miss any. Switch stairs. Recall, manage lemmings. You know what would be an interesting mode, I think more interesting than turn count speedrunning, would be keystroke minimization. Of course, programming would lend a significant advantage there, and bots and so forth. But I suppose... Well, no, because one could count macros and bots and so forth by the number of commands issued. So humans would have an advantage over bots because they would exercise judgment. So that'd be a fun category, I think. Vault Sentinel has made a bunch of noise in the middle. So that'll pull some more. Doing a good job of keeping up with the rate of reinforcement so far. One pip of regen on my plate armor helps. I could just be nuking stuff with, a full ambush and taking a lot less damage to keep ahead of the reinforcement rate, and that would be a safer way to play, although it would result in far less orc training. And I think it's important to keep the troops strong for when one inevitably takes some casualties in certain tight spots. One wants to replace those losses with training when it's not so difficult. But if it were necessary, I could, quaff an agi and agi, and stare dance repeatedly into a full ambush, and do some serious damage quick. Decide to let the shapeshifter get close so I can stare dance him up. I want to deal with him 2v1 so that he doesn't have a chance to find an inconvenient form. No rush to kill these zombies. Or undead, rather. There's a simulacrum. Here comes a dancing weapon. And I got a couple of orcs reinforced. So... recalled there, or no, I haven't done a full recall yet, so my lone plain orc is still down there by himself, inexplicably not dying because orcs can't die off floor, which is nice. So I rescue him. Gold dragon incoming. Doesn't change anything, my resistances are fine. Here comes a necromancer. That agony is something to watch for. I've also got that dancing weapon on me. I reckon the fire axe is my best bet, even though they both can resist fire. Orc Knight gained XP, or gained a tier. I should just say gained HD. Time to switch stairs. Cast regen. Lose my tails. I'm going to try the middle stair to see if I can't catch the necromancer. Don't expect him to be exactly adjacent to the stair. Need to maximize my, well, MR. He doesn't have negative energy attack, I don't think. He definitely can't have a cold attack. Descend, don't see the necromancer. Not sure where he went. And here's Mennas. Mennas has a mass confuse. Don't want that to land while I'm trying to stair dance. There's also a convoker on screen. That's not a big deal. The party's going to be in the center anyway. More concerning is the potential for the High Priest to brilliance various dangerous casters. Chopping up the zombies. Waiting for something worthwhile to step adjacent. I guess I shouldn't have gone for the middle stair. It's better to spread out the stair dance locations as much as possible. Thinking about taking up taking up Mennas immediately, I decide against it, so I'll just take up this Giac. One-shot him. Take the bolts off auto pickup. Got some Titans incoming, and Mennas, of course, is the main threat. decide to have a number of orcs out in order to blitz him, which is a questionable decision since he can mass confusion, but I was hoping to anti-magic him. Pre-buffing, beastly appendage. Regen. It's going to be Mennas and a Convoker. Prefer he doesn't might Mennas. Stair dance up. Yeah, I've got to say bringing the orcs in on this is the wrong call due to mass confusion. With his AC, anti-magic is not going to be any kind of guaranteed counter. Sure enough, he immediately confuses the orcs. So I give it a bit to see how bad it is, and it's bad. They're tearing each other apart. So I cast Teleport. And tough it out for a bit. Now the anti-magic is kind of working, but he's too tanky for that strategy. My troops are starting to look near death, so I get off the floor and give them a chance to heal. No idea whether I lost anybody there. Looking for Mennas. Round 2. This time I'll use the File of Floods since they have infinite MR. Cannot be confused by his hex. But I want him to focus on attacking me, so I'll step adjacent to him first. He lacks cleave, so the water elementals should suffocate him nicely. He's flying, so he won't get the debuff. And I'm standing on a door, so I don't get the debuff. Because apparently doors are immune to flooding. So just hitting him with the anti-magic axe, because I prefer not to be silenced for emergencies and so forth. And that works. The water elementals suffocate him nicely. Ignoring his AC. and also silencing him, in addition to the anti-magic. So there you go. Maybe if I had done the water elemental trick first, then I could have summoned orcs on him. Yeah, I think I could have trained an orc there. So, as while he's engulfed, he's not gonna do his mass confuse. So, oh well. Back to the same old grind. This session is too long. I was ready to tap out. But, and that was a fine stopping point. I could have stopped there easily. But instead I kept going. Not ready to tap out, but ready for the bell. Titan. Same attack sequence. Venom, draining, and anti-magic in this case. Night levels. Thinking about how to counter the necromancer. I think he was a necromancer. Living management complete. Cast beastly appendage. Take the annihilator up. Safe to do the same stair again. Get nailed by something. Probably the shadow dragon. Nope. Not sure what. Shapeshifter. Just start draining him. Maybe it was that Titan. Going for max, going for RN plus with the sling. Shadow Dragon is missing. Decide to shoot the zombies since the damage won't regen. Here's the Death Mage. Goes after the Orc Knight after receiving a strong hit. Continuing to shoot the zombie since he won't regen. And I want RN up to counter the Deep Elf High Priest's Malign Offering. A bit worried about that Ghost Moth depleting my MP, but I don't think it's worth a smite. Turns out to be a shapeshifter, so it wasn't. This guy's hasted. I use Confusing Touch. Maybe it would have been better just to attack him with poison first, and then Confusing Touch. Probably. Use the Venom Dagger. There's the Necromancer again. Maximize RN. Not sure that's right. I think I need lots of MR to resist Agony. Take the Necromancer up. Yeah, need the MR. And he manages to agony me at 9% because I was using resist cold in case he cold bolted. So I recall in some orcs to finish him off before he gets lucky. Gets any more lucky, that is. Continue training spellcasting. And memorize Ensorcelled Hibernation. Can use that with the ring in a bit. It's handy for stuff like putting Draconians to sleep. At least I think it is. They don't take extra damage from cold, I don't think. They just get slowed by it, so I'm not sure in that case. Anyway, start training ice magic. There's some ice axes I want. Not to primary, but to secondary. Another day, another stair dance. This one looks fine. I could even stay in for a bit and get a bigger pull, which I do, but then I get marked after I switch to the axe. I decide to risk staying down with the mark until the Entropy Weaver closes. So I want to take him out of the equation. But he was a shapeshifter. Anyway, same difference. Use draining to counter it. My Orc Knight isn't helping since it's invis. So I decide to switch weapons since it's not really changing its form much. We could force it to change, though, with a polymorph charge. And then continue draining it down into oblivion. Here we go again. Six is possible, and he starts bouncing between the two trident users, which is a good way to harass the monster. Here's a more serious pull. No doubt the delayed effect of that mark. Attack the zombie again. He's the only one that doesn't heal. Go for the anti-magic axe. File of Floods is back online. Hit pretty hard on that stair dance. I don't want those two shooting me, so I step between them so that they are aiming at each other. And then the Titan fires through me to the orc ally. It's no big deal. I decided to recall to play it safe, not lose anybody, or myself. Maximize resistances, including RN, since there's a shadow dragon incoming. Their breath hits very hard. Need 2 pips to be comfortable. Flame Axe does the trick. Regenerate and switch stairs. So as you can see, this isn't challenging, it's just tedious. And even if I did get locked in, I could just teleport. Or take a hatch, or, you know, if I anticipated it. Still no Vault Warden, besides the one I already killed. The more I'm able to drain monsters from the center, the safer it becomes to teleport or hatch. The lower the density of monsters on the rest of the level. So that's why, you know, teleporting and fighting in the middle are not mutually exclusive strategies, they're complementary. Tengu Reaver, and here's a Vault Sentinel, awkwardly placed, Vault Warden, who is sealed before I can ascend, and he's too far away to engage except via, well, I could ranged attack him, skirmish him, but I had to spend some smites probably to finish him off before I got in trouble. So instead I upped my magic resistance to prevent myself from getting marked and re-teleport. And then just try to avoid damage. The Sentinel just tried to mark me. I don't even have line of fire on the Vault Warden, so it'd be a pain to try to finish him. I could cast Fear, and that would improve the situation somewhat, but instead I just teleported. I've got this Bruiser here. I want to take him down quickly, so I no longer have reflection. Poison him up. Gets me down to 3/4 HP or less, and so I go ahead and regen through that, even though it's costing me potentially a ration, because I want to recover that HP before reinforcements meander by. All healed up. Good to go. Nice chunk of gold. This corridor is a strong fighting position, and I think I should have stayed in it. That's not quite what happens. Finish off the vermin, deep elf, and there's a war gargoyle. I should probably just smite him here instead of screwing around, but I don't feel pressured since the floor density is already greatly reduced. But still, I should have smote him, and that's the counter to a gargoyle, is smiting, or at least a war gargoyle. I think they have decent MR, so the answer is to attack their low HP. Ignore their AC. Yeah, it's decent MR. So I'm trying with the Morning Star, and that eventually works. Maybe the sling would have worked better, actually. So I go in the room to rest, and I get interrupted by the Vault Sentinel. At this point, I probably should have gone into the corridor, because he's pulling... Well, I do go into the corridor. He's pulling reinforcements, obviously, with that horn. I confuse him to shut him up, and then poison him. Then I chase him to finish him, yeah. And then I go for the chunk because I'm very hungry, so now I'm no longer in the corridor with reinforcements coming. And then with this Reaver, instead of using Corona, I try to use Confusing Touch, which is the wrong move. I think his HD are too high for Confusing Touch to be super effective. And yeah, Corona is just better in this situation. In fact, slow isn't a bad idea first. Although with his decent MR, I think Corona is cheaper, more realistic choice. Doesn't really need to slow him once you've got Corona, you can take him out quickly. But anyway, I didn't do that, so now I'm getting attacked from two sides, and I could be only attacked from one if I stepped left, so that's not good. And both of these guys can land significant conjurations. Yeah, and then the priest is smiting, and I'm just kind of fighting summons. But I'm just depleted at this point. I've been playing too long and don't really care. So finally I just start smiting. I mean, I've got the Faith Amulet on. So it's 2 smites, 3 smites. And I do a Ice Blast on myself. Which, whatever. And then there's this nice Flame Axe, which I want. And here comes a... So I'm not saying this part was well played, it wasn't. I mean, I could have gone left into the corridor and started using Javelins of Penetration. Or... Yeah, there were multiple mistakes here, but I was just fatigued. The floor is too long, I should have broken it up into 2 sections. Not so much fatigued, it's just impatient and hurrying. No longer willing to play optimally. Which is bad. I mean, I've teleported, and so I have no line of retreat, and so I should be playing this part patiently. Of course, I mean, I can recall orcs anytime I want. I decide to regen in the corner, risk it. Yeah, I mean, once the game stops being fun and I'm tired of playing it, I should just stop regardless of whether it's a good stopping point or not, really. Or just pause the recording and come back to it later. Drop my +0 broadaxe of flame for this +7 war axe, flame plus blink and +7. Strength -3 isn't ideal, but the other attributes make up for it. I don't really care whether it's a damage upgrade or not. I mean, the blink and the int are nice. Using max RN for the Shadow Dragon. Finish him with the sling, since it has 2 pips of RN on it. I mean, I wouldn't call Vaults 5 fun anyway. It wasn't that interesting. It was just kind of repetitive. But I was definitely fed up during that encounter. Trying to decide how I'm going to get through this AC. I can do the quick blade. Decide to try the demon whip, but I've got too much unclear territory visible, and I pull a Tengu Reaver, which is okay. Definitely still manageable. I think about doing an acid shot here, but it would miss the Reaver, so I decide not to. The Iron Dragon can't hurt me that much, so I decide to try to land Corona on the Reaver first. Remember, the dragon is drained, so he's already nerfed. Oh, I took Tima's dance to the Reaver first. Get some nice vampiric cleaving going. Axe has a high base damage, so it can hopefully do something to the dragon. And then I land Corona on the Reaver and finish him. Polyactar, no big deal. Should be animating skeletons here. I haven't been doing that. Got out of the habit while I was training orcs. It's definitely a great way to extend your endurance. Not that it's really an issue. Turn on maximum MR plus for the risk of one-shot hex. Here comes a golden dragon. I back off to avoid surplus pull. Drain him. Picking a weapon type to use to finish him off. Velocity wouldn't be a bad choice, I don't think. Untyped damage. Here comes a Deep Elf High Priest. Switch to the anti-magic axe. Or rather the flame axe. Anti-magic won't do anything to a priest. Cast Regen. Since this is kind of an endurance battle with his smiting and vamp draining, or pseudo vamp draining. Take him out. Should definitely be animating these skeletons. T-monster. Low EB, so the sling is very accurate. He has good resistance, but sling does untyped damage, so that's nice. Now he's constricted me. That's why I switched to the axe, so I could blink out of his constriction. I think a blink counts as 2 escape attempts. That's a good deal. And then just do the same thing whenever he constricts, start blinking out of it. Effectively countered. Try on these boots. It's just a +1 pair. Not interesting. I stay away from the middle quadrant when I've only got 1 of 3 quadrants cleared. Don't want a too sizable pull. Do the usual sequence on the Storm Dragon. Guess he drank a haste. Garbage ring. Vault Warden in an irrelevant position to his abilities. Another Tengu Reaver. Finally, I remember to animate skeletons. Should be, yeah, there we go, coronaing this guy, particularly with a skeleton ally. Needs help with his accuracy. Now that I'm remembering to animate skeletons, this Vaults 5 clearing exercise is completely trivial. Going for Corona again. Got it. Got some good anti-magic hits, so you can just finish him off at that point. Well, looks like I hit shield skill cap, which is nice. Strong defenses are helpful for challenging Vaults 5. Go ahead and challenge this quadrant rather than burying myself in the depths of the black. One Tengu Reaver. Apply venom. Train. Redo the Corona and anti-magic. I guess after applying Drain, that would be a time to do Confusing Touch, perhaps. Retreat the orcs so they don't get AoE'd. Max out my RF. Throw some javelins and then step to him to finish him. Animate the skeleton. And immediately ascend to protect my orcs from getting killed off screen. You call them. Play some lemming management. There we go. One of the stupid denizens of roguelike's DCSS Discord was scoffing at my statement that the Faith Amulet helps keep Beogh viable, but it's obviously doing so here. And by viable, of course, I don't mean able to win. You can win with a mummy berserker or whatever. I mean, viable compared to the other god options and amulet options. So at this stage of the game, there are lots of enemies that can just start taking out swaths of even high-tier orcs, such as knights. So the Faith Amulet helps keep the orcs viable by keeping your highest tier ones alive with heals and so forth, and allowing you to aggressively smite AoE threats that would otherwise cause severe casualties. Without that advantage, you get into a situation where you're making a choice between maintaining your piety and your orcs, or just have to play very, very tediously, slowly, or just not use your orcs as much. So anyway, the Faith Amulet really helps to streamline, and it's a great deal for Beogh because he's a gift god with so you get that aspect of the bonus, and his gifts are strong and tactically significant, and also his piety is very strong, converts directly into smites. So once you have a strong pack of orcs, then the value of the Faith Amulet is amplified by the size of the pack. Fall back a bit to limit ads. I mean, without the option to switch to the Faith Amulet, Beogh would start falling off around Vaults 5 and Vestibule to Hell. And that would be sort of the time to unload your investment. But with the Faith Amulet, you can just keep going for quite a while. At least until Torment becomes a major problem. Deep Elf Archer. Everything's trivial at this point. This is a mop-up. But the counter is Confusing Touch. You can't be hexed. Well, he can be hexed, but he has high MR. So a Trident reaches through his deflect missiles, and Confusing Touch allows damage over time. Allows to apply the initial poison for damage over time. Just unblacking the loot at this point. I did read a noise scroll in the center just to see if I could pull anything else to stair dance into my orcs. There's not much other use for the noise scrolls, and I had 4 plus 2 in the shop, so I read one. which only killed like 1 or 2 monsters. But, whatever. There's a lot of gold. So that's nice. Anyway, thanks for watching.